Good evening, good evening. Hello, everybody. Today it's the 3rd of February, 1 week away from the Lunar New Year, and it's a rainy Saturday evening. It's 6:23 p.m. and I'm speaking today on the topic of the effects of climate change on safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. Something which is quite similar, quite close to the potential topic for my PhD. I'm in that part of my life now where I am pursuing my PhD studies. I'm into my 5th month, and so as some of you might know, that the first year is really about determining the topic, the actual topic that you will be working on. So we all know intangible cultural heritage refers to the non-material or the invisible or the intangible part of our culture and heritage that we don't really see, which some people like to for example, the ideas, knowledge, music, language, parts of processes and traditions that we don't see. So these are things that we call intangible cultural heritage. These are things that we don't see, but we feel. We can witness the effects or the end result, though we can't see. So UNESCO, or the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, has been increasingly talking about intangible cultural heritage, or what we can call ICH, for the last 2 decades. ICH is different in different places. Sometimes you may have forms of ICH that is a little bit similar from one place to another. There is a rush, an urgent rush to do more in the arena of heritage and culture. There is a race to make sure that stakeholders, and we're not necessarily talking about stakeholders in tourism. There is a race for us as a collective global society to do more, to come up with more creative solutions. For example, when it comes to protecting and safeguarding our culture and the heritage, whether it's tangible or intangible. So today I'm attempting to talk about how climate change can have an effect or an impact or impacts on safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. First, climate change is something we call a crisis, and it's a complicated phenomenon. We do not claim to know everything about it. We continue to know more and more about it. Climate change does create resource scarcity, and that, if you think about it, has some links, has some connections with the disappearance or the near disappearance of some form of heritage and culture, whether it's tangible or intangible. Climate change creates resource scarcity, and so in some places it has an impact on how people cook their food, because certain ingredients are no longer that accessible anymore. It has an impact on the way people store or keep their food, or the way people prepare their food, and so that has an impact on the final taste. And so something very important when we talk about cultural heritage, whether tangible or intangible, is that we are discouraged from using the word authentic. Many cultural heritage experts and practitioners feel that this word authentic should be avoided when we talk about heritage and culture, because these heritage and culture adapts through time. So by calling something authentic or not so, it's too simplistic, and it creates this tendency for us to only look at a very, very narrow state of being of our heritage and culture, neglecting the fact that there are many, many factors that creates changes or necessitates changes to the way we carried out the many different things related to our heritage and culture. Climate change does also create this scenario or this situation where, although it is a global phenomenon, but it has different levels of impacts on different places and on different people. So what I'm trying to say is that it is a global phenomenon, but interestingly, it creates unequal impacts on different groups of people. So climate change will then unfortunately create a situation where some communities will be heavily affected, some slightly less so. And the safeguarding and protection of intangible cultural heritage, which by nature is already quite complicated, may suffer from more complexities. There are places which might not readily or struggle to have the expertise and the resources that they should have to mitigate or to combat climate change. And when climate change has this kind of unequal impacts on different places and different communities, we will start to see the expedition or the speeding up of the loss, not only the intangible but also the tangible parts of our heritage and culture. And so when climate change has unequal effects on different communities of people, we should not forget that that different communities or different groups of people display or possess different or varying levels of vulnerabilities and the ability to adapt. And so we could be talking about places that are more vulnerable, and so reducing vulnerability would be more complicated. Strengthening the ability to adapt would then be something that would also might be more complicated. So there is much to think about and much to discuss. The effects of climate change shouldn't be underestimated. Already we see people who have to move away from places that they are living, and when people move away, they carry with them aspects of their heritage and culture, their way of life, the food that they eat. So as we see climate change starting to make more and more places inhabitable, when we see climate change starting to disrupt the way of life of more and more groups of people, especially and particularly more marginalized and vulnerable groups like the ethnic groups and the indigenous people. So this is a topic that I will be talking about more and hopefully more in depth. It's an interesting topic because we are getting very close to what climate scientists call the tipping point, and we are already seeing very concerned impacts climate change has on this part of our lives, our heritage and culture. So stay tuned as I dwell on this topic a little deeper, how climate change can have an impact on the intangible part of our heritage and culture. Thank you.